Welcome to Lesson 9 of East Main 101. I am your facilitator, City of Jackson Communications Director Kenneth Cummings. And for today's lesson, we have the director of the Ned McWherter Cultural Arts Center, David McCall. Did I get that right?
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
You made some strong edits in there.
Strong edits. All right. The Ned McWherter.
The Ned R McWherter.
Ned R McWherter.
West
Tennessee Cultural Arts Center. David McCall.
That's right.
David McCall, thank you for coming on to Lesson 9 of East Main 101. I appreciate you being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you for the invite.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward and excited to talking about the Ned and all the things that's going on there, from theater to exhibits, everything that's going on at the Ned. It's a lot going on at the Ned, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
So we got a quick bio from David, short and sweet. As director of the Ned R. McWherter West Tennessee Cultural Arts Center, I got to write that time. So I'm reading the paper.
It's a little written down. Yeah.
David McCall seeks to blend his passion for the arts with community engagement. As the former head of vocal development at New York Vocal Coaching, he has worked with voice teachers, cantors, and Broadway and recording artists across the country. A performer and director, David's credits spanned from iconic stages in New York City, La Mama, American Globe, to notable regional theaters, as well as the Jackson Children and Teen Theater and Jackson Theater Guild. David, thank you again for being here.
My pleasure.
So, who is David McCall? David McCall gave us a short, quick, sweet bio, but we want to know. I mean, you're 6'3", 6'4".
6'5".
So if people 6'5",
you know who's counting? You know.
And if people see you and then they just hear this little short bio, they would think there's got to be more to David McCall.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, who is David McCall?
Man, what a great question. I feel like I was just talking about this. I was talking with a longtime friend last night just about the arts and theater and just climates in different places that we've lived and climates, you know what I mean? Like political, cultural climates where we, and thinking about that, who is David McCall? I think David McCall is a lover of arts, lover of theater. Like every time I see something, I usually pass it through the lens of, okay, how would I produce this? All right, how would I stage this moment that's happening in life? So I think the height partially adds to this, like giving that look from above, a quite literal look from above a lot of the times. Kenny, you kind of make me feel a little uncomfortable at first because you're like almost as tall as I am. And whenever that, do you ever experience that when someone is as tall as you are?
Yes. When they're taller than me, it's like, okay, I thought I was tall. So that's actually how I felt about it. It was like, wow.
Now, wait a minute.
This he's tall and he's in theater. Who is this guy?
I feel, and whenever you're walking down the street and someone is like as tall, I experienced this a lot more in New York, but like when someone would be that tall, it's like, well, there goes my personality. Who am I? Right. I'm the tall guy. But I would say definitely a lover of theater, tall guy. I'm a big goofball. Like I enjoy being silly, as serious as I am about what I do and the people I work with and work for. I also am quick to laugh, quick to point out my shortcomings. And
that's a good thing.
I think you have to. It's a survival mechanism for me because I do take something so seriously that I have to be reminded that, you know what, there's Saturn out there. And she's got her rings on and she's just twirling, man. She don't care about none of this. So like that quick to level or put priorities back in order. I think. Don't quote me on that during a show week or anything. But I would say also a lover of music and man, I don't know. I love my friends. Yeah. Who is David? He's growing and learning. I think my answer today will be so different than it would be like a year from now.
And that's fair. I mean, even same for me. Who is Kenny? Tomorrow, Kenny will be someone better, but different. It's not the same. And in theater, in the arts, it's ever changing. There's no such thing as the same art. You can look at a bottle of water and turn it another way to different perspective.
I see what you did.
It's the arts.
Yes.
So, it's going to be different. You're going to be different. So
I have one of my mentors that I grew up. Well, I did the span of my growing up artistically with, and I still think about some of his words, or like, to be an artist is to be a lifelong learner. And so, like, the difference between a professional artist and an amateur artist is the professional will never stand on what they know today. Right. The amateur will kind of, okay, I know enough, and just coast on that for a while. The professional, no, that's what makes the difference.
That's what makes the difference. And a lover of the arts encompasses so many things. There's visual, performing, music, creative, all of that. And in your background, it's in vocal and theater. Tell us about your background and how you came to want to be a part of the arts in theater and vocal and music.
I remember some of my earliest memories of elementary school are performing in the spring little musicals that we do. Like when I was growing up in our K through 5 music program, we had Miss Margie Seal was the music teacher, and she would put together these little medleys that we would sing, different themes, whatever. I was growing up during the time of the Disney Renaissance, so a lot of our ending shows had to do with like The Lion King or The Little Mermaid. And so the very first one that I did in second grade was Mary Poppins, and she picked me to sing the Chim Chim Cheree solo, which was Bert, excuse me very much, Bert in second grade. But I sang that, and I think my parents were really worried. My mom couldn't go. She was so worried. Oh, she was so worried. I still kid her about that. But she was unwell. She maintains that she was unwell. But that went really well, and I felt what it was like to sing in front of people and to perform and to be celebrated. Like I found my thing. It wasn't really sports. I tried a little bit, but once I found my thing, it was like, oh, okay. So then the next year I did the next one, then the next one, and was kind of become a relied upon soloist in those things. And then in 5th grade, I wrote the script, an adapted script of The Wizard of Oz for us to be able to do some of that. 5th grade, man. Wow. I was like, who was I?
You were David McCall.
If you had asked him then, he would be like, well, I'm a writer, I'm a singer, And so I put together this little script that just got us, a couple lines between songs, and we used it, and it was like, whoa, like, look at this. And so went to college in Murray and studied music there. I got coached by one of my high school teachers who also loved theater but also loved music. She was like, go study music so you'll know how to maintain your voice, how to keep your voice. The theater you can do on the side, or you could do, you'll find your ways into that. That's not going anywhere. And she was right. I studied music, classical music, and then would work in the theater office as the, like the errand boy, basically, like a little clerk.
Gopher.
Yeah, pretty much the gopher. But that's what my on-campus job was, and did every production there, and started directing a lot more in college through these student-run organizations that would do shows, big musicals, and that's where I cut my teeth as a director. You had to give presentations on, all right, if we select you to be the director, what would you do with them? And so I had the whole 9 yards, the visual aids and like video clips and like, talking about it all. But that really set the course. And then I have to go back to another. I meant to bring this up. Also hosting. I think a lot of an unsung part of the arts that I think we may not appreciate is the art of hosting. And I would conduct The Price is Right in the living room with some of my friends who would come over. I'd take some knickknacks of my mom's and put little blankets over them. And one had a paper airplane, obviously. And so, like, you would reveal this stuff. I don't know why that felt important to share, but it just did just then.
So Price is Right. I mean, we all grew up on it.
Bob Barker, man, with that microphone.
The little tiny microphone. Like, how did all that sound come out of that little tiny microphone? That's right. But, I mean, we all grew up on Price is Right. It was our, Bob Barker, he babysat us when we were sick.
Yes.
We were at home. We were playing hooky.
Sick days, man.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Playing hooky? We were kids.
That's right.
90s, it was 80s, 90s. It was a different time.
It was a different time.
But Bob Barker, he raised a lot of us.
I would say so.
So, of course, you that was your choice of hosting. I mean, you think about what The Price is Right is. I mean, it's art because a lot of people are acting, but it's real life. But you, as someone who used Bob Barker as your example to host out of all the other game shows, why Price is Right, not like Family Feud or Wheel of Fortune? Why Price is Right?
I don't know. They had the most fun games, I think.
Yeah,
That's what I was drawn to.
Okay.
But just hosting generally, what is so fun about that is the engagement and the quick engagement.
Yes.
And I think that's something like when you recognize a good host, that's something that I love doing at the Ned when we do have our productions is giving a live curtain speech. Because I think it's something that is so important to put that human, it's like hands pushing us off into the evening as opposed to like lights go out and now we hear something recorded or something that removes you from the experience. It's something about what's happening at the Ned is that it is so, or what I hope it is that it is very community forward. And so getting up there and making sure, yes, we'll sing happy birthday to someone or wish a happy anniversary, just reminding us that we are human, we are all people. And it helps the expectations, I think, for folks as they're watching the show. It already puts them in a more communal mood to experience something together. And I think that makes for a so much more satisfying show-going experience for an audience.
I totally agree, 100%. I've never really been on that side of the arts. My arts in high school, I got in a band. I found that was my thing. And then
what was your instrument?
I played trumpet when I loved it when I was in high school, but then I picked up a camera. So I stayed in the arts and music. I love music. I can still remember how, A, B, C, D, E, F, G on the trumpet. I can remember it. I don't know if I could still play. I probably could, but I stayed in the arts because I knew, your creative side can just run free, whether it's in music or the camera that I pick up. And even this in communications, it's still art. This is art. This podcast, it's art. It's creative. So I've always been on that side of the spectrum, the art spectrum, and I love it. I love it. And for you say you start off like singing. When did you know that singing was the Mary Poppins, or did you have a voice before Mary Poppins? Did your mom or somebody, bring it out of you? How did you know singing was your thing? I've heard you sing, and it's amazing.
Right.
I mean, so I can only imagine you as a kid singing. How did you know singing was your thing?
Church, singing in church. Grew up in a small church in Greenfield, Tennessee, and that singing single specials, I think is what we call them. We sing specials, and singing in the choir. But it's the real the noteworthy moment was the Mary Poppins thing, young voice, and then like, oh wait a minute, I still have friends when in 1999, I auditioned for Annie here at the Jackson Children and Teen Theater under Miss Pat Alford and Diane Robinson. And I met some of my lifelong friends. That friend I was talking about who I was on the phone with, I met them during that specific production, and they will still talk about how you were such a good singer. You sang so high. Because my voice, I was a late bloomer. Man.
So this was you were a kid back then.
Yes.
So I remember, like, I've heard you sing now. If someone sees you on the street and they don't know you're a singer, and then they just think, if he sang, I bet he's got a baritone deep voice. He's 6'5".
Yeah.
But to think you've got a higher tenor, you've got a tenor
pretty much, yeah.
You don't have a deep voice,
right?
I mean, but. Oh my gosh! I wish you could sing on here. Maybe one day when we have you back on, we'll just have you sing. David McCall, he can sing. The man can sing. And just so Mary Poppins, that was your breakthrough. And then you hear singers and they sing all the time. Are you one of those types that wherever you go, you're singing?
Will tell most likely. I think it's Kristen Klinowski, who's on staff at the Ned, who told me, I always know when you're coming. Whenever I hear Will Burke coming, I hear his keys. When I hear singing, I know it's you. like, yeah, I don't even realize that I'm making as much noise as I am most of the time.
It's
Always
not
humming
noise.
something, right?
It's singing.
Thanks,
man.
Mom. Thanks, Dad. Yeah.
So you say you're from Greenfield,
Mhm.
Tennessee, and you say you actually auditioned for Jackson Theater here as a child. How did you end up back in Jackson, Tennessee, to be here at the Ned?
Yeah. Well, that thing that happened back in 2020, whatever, like when everything shut down, right?
Yes.
I was in New York, and I had been there for 11 years, and I had been performing on and off, but the main gig was teaching and teaching voice, and had, I've been blessed in that and loved it. It was one of those enriching things that felt like it was on mission for me, because I love the arts. I love sharing the arts, and I love helping educate. So that is so on mission for me. So for that to start to get shut down, and when, we can't do this in person, and then I was doing it online, and that was fine. And I was helping other friends leave the city, and suddenly like, my network is getting really thin. And then it was like this calling that it felt right. I was like, we'll go home for just a little bit, for like a couple months. We'll leave the city. We'll just see, I'll put some stuff in storage. And then I came back and started to do a little bit of contract work, helping with camps and helping with some production elements back at the Ned, where I had been, and started getting connected with the Theater Guild again. And it was one of those moments. I talk about the tiger inside, like when a decision comes to you and it's like, this is yours. This is what you need to be doing, where all the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and it's like, okay, time to pounce. I've felt that like a number of times, like two specific moments in my life that just changed the course in a really positive way. And I was feeling that it was kind of a prolonged thing, though, because I could feel, okay, this is all of my strengths are here, it feels like, and there's so much room to grow in every direction. So when that became a possibility, there was no question at all.
You knew it was time to be the director of the Ned R. McWherter West Tennessee Cultural Arts Center.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
And it's amazing to see what's happened at the Ned since you've been there, and I see more action. I've seen it before, but it's a different level, in my opinion, of what's happening at the Ned now. The diversity that you see now at the Ned, it's beyond what I've ever seen. And I can be honest to say that, because there are people who I believe who knew the Ned was there, who heard of the Ned, but have never stepped foot inside the Ned. But now you've got students who love art, who want to be a part of something, and now they know for sure that there's a place downtown in Jackson, Tennessee, that can cultivate them as artists, whether it's painting, whether it's photography, whether it's theater, whether it's production, people who want to help, people who want to do the stage, people who want to help build sets, people who want to direct, people who want to do lighting. It's all available at the Ned. And it's amazing to see what's being done. And I say that because, again, as a lover of the arts, to know that we have a space in Jackson, Tennessee for that, it's a beautiful thing. It's a blessing for the city. And I appreciate you being there for that and helping to cultivate. And for someone who, I guess, is of the arts, to be able to give back to those students, to the grown-ups, it's a blessing to have that. And so for the importance of the arts, there's this saying, and I use it every once in a while, and I don't take credit for it. The earth without art is just it, because you can't spell earth without art. And if you spell earth without art, it's EH. So it's nothing.
That's great.
So what is the importance, in your opinion, of having the arts in the city or having the arts period? What is the importance of that? Whether it's performing, whether it's visual, whatever type of art, what to you is the importance of having it?
I can speak personally that I threw this phrase around earlier, but I found my people when I became involved in a serious way in the arts. And the idea that there were some folks and some kids in our area who did not see the Ned as even a possibility or something that was for them or it wasn't even on their radar. Oh, heart-wrenching to me, because that is where I went to a wedding earlier of a friend. I've got like friends of 20-something years now that I met there that I rely on in times of in dark times or when I need a head to lay on. My life is richer in a very real way because of my involvement in those arts. And it's not, oh, I can sing, oh, I know how to face front, I know how to focus a light or something like that. Yeah, you'll learn that. But it's those transferable things. It's those life skills that you learn it's our team. Like it's a version of a team. And I love sports. I grew up in a sport family. Our sport is tennis. I'm not great. I got a good reach though. I'll be able to catch some of the hits. I played some baseball, and as much as I enjoyed that from time to time, it wasn't really my team, you know. But the working on a show or working in a camp, like there are so many individualistic parts of the arts, and I think this is why this pulls me back to theater, is that it is so collaborative. It feels like a team, and we all have a goal that we're pointing towards, and it's serving that audience the best show that we possibly can in our given circumstances. And it's not the best to compete with Broadway or to compete with a tour. It's the best that we can do at our given moment with our resources. And, I think there's at church this past weekend, one of the scriptures was, I believe in 2 Corinthians or something. It's like you give to the measure that you have, not to the measure that you don't have, was the idea. So it's like, there's another quote that I rely on. I think it comes from Tennessee Williams. It's like it's best when compromised. Theater is best when compromised, and it's not that it's sabotaged or anything like that. But like when you're having to make do and get creative with solutions, that's when the best things happen. That has like such a galvanizing effect, and that has that team making feeling that it's even hard to describe. But I would say that experience is so important in enriching your life and knowing that it can be that good, so that when you do have those dark moments or you have those alone times, that you can always lean on that, And I mentioned the transferable skills. Like I'm able to talk to folks, and I have a curiosity about people because of theater, because I've grown empathy in playing roles that ordinarily we would just judge really easily. Like that's something that you get from studying a part. It's that you never judge a character. Your character is doing the best they can and making the best decisions they know how to make given their circumstances. So suddenly your empathy opens up and you start to see, oh, well, if this is true, what else is true about the world I actually live in? So I firmly believe when that is happening, especially behind the scenes and in rehearsals and those discussions are going on, the audience can't help but feel that. They may not be able to put a label on it or describe what it actually is, but they can taste the difference. I guarantee you they can taste the difference if that rehearsal room has been creative or has had important conversations going on. And I would say that the impact is so much greater than just the individual child or artist that is experiencing it. It just echoes out in such big ways. And not to mention like all the, the stats that tell us that people who study the arts they do better on testing, they do better at reading comprehension just because they're reading scripts. You know, like all of that, I'm taking that for granted right now. But yeah, the impact, it is felt for generations. It is felt in every direction it echoes. So a world without the arts is or sorry, earth without the arts is
Earth without the arts is And you touched on something, how you say you're serving, you're not thinking of Broadway. So there's a difference between when you're doing theater here at the Ned to the region or people who come to visit. Let's just say right now, our people in Jackson, Tennessee. What's the difference of this crowd versus Broadway? You did theater in New York, so I know that's a totally different set of audience. It's a different type of audience. What is the difference when you're doing a theater here in Jackson versus at a bigger stage in Jackson? I mean, in New York or something like that.
I would say it's the variety of people who comprise the audience. And they keep you honest. In like New York audiences are such a high percentage. I didn't mean to roll my eyes to see me catch myself. Are just made up of other like eat, sleep, and breathe it artists, like especially theater artists who are like, why does he have this job? Why don't I have this job? Or like directors who are like okay, maybe I can get him to do like there's so much inside baseball going on when you see a show in New York. Unless you're seeing it like in Times Square where it's a tourist, you know, that kind of thing. And I love it. Don't get me wrong. I watched the Tonys. I saw The Outsiders. I've got to go see that show. But when we're doing it here, the one of the most important things to me is making sure we have so many cross sections of community connection, so that it's like no one. So the quality of the show is the gravy. It's like if the show is great, wonderful. Yeah. And we want it to be. We absolutely want it to be. But what we really want is to make sure that these young artists are having an experience that is going to, like I say, echo with them for a long time, making sure they are seen, they're heard, that they are building relationships, that those things that affect you in the outside world aren't seeping into the fabric of what we're trying to create within those walls. So I would say it's not necessarily quality, but the like that drive, that innocent, I guess that's what it is. Maybe it's that innocent drive to do something that is so good. Yeah. And like when you hear the young ones like celebrating everything that they're doing, I got my lines right, and I got the song right, and I did all that, and they're like high-fiving each other. You're like, you did so much more, and it's going to take years for you to realize that. As someone who has been through it, like you're learning way more than you realize right now, and you're going to be relying on some of these moments in your dark times, and I'm so thankful that you're building them with us.
That's awesome, man. And I'm sure, and you talked about this earlier, rehearsals, a lot goes on in rehearsal. Yeah. I mean, I'm in the audience, all I see is this show. Of course, I know that you guys are practicing or rehearsing, but a lot goes into that. I always tell you, one day I'm going to be on the stage, whether it's a speaking part or just a nonverbal comedy part.
Now it's recorded.
I know it's on the record now, and I do want to do it. I'm not going to say I'm not good at it. Scripts, that's why I say I would want it like a non-speaking part, because, or maybe 2 or 3 lines. But it takes the rehearsal for all of you to encourage those who are auditioning and those who actually have the part. First timers, hey, you can do this. Talk about rehearsals, like what happens, especially at the Ned for a local theater like this versus the big productions involved. What happens in the rehearsals that make people want to be a part of these productions at the Ned?
So rehearsals, once we get our cast put together, what we'll do is we'll typically read through the script together. A lot of folks and this is another blessing, we try to make sure we keep the door open to a lot of new people, so that whenever we have a show, we're looking for like 30% new. We want 30% new folks in there all the time, as much as it possibly can. So watching, in particular, those folks come in with their walls up and like, I'm there to impress and to prove that I belong here.
That would be me.
Right.
Okay. I'm just, or kind of like, okay,
yeah.
am I supposed to be here? Am I making the right decision?
And you see that too. Okay. Like, oh, where am I? Like that whole thing. It just runs the gamut. And so to try to disarm those folks and just, what was the best meal you had lately? Like, wait, that doesn't have anything to do with the play. What
does this have to do with Cinderella?
Exactly. Or if they're reading a line and they've decided how it's going to sound, and then you just say, okay, cool. Could you just say that like a person, or could you just, or say it like you have your mouth full, or like you're chewing gum or something, just to like put little cracks in the armor, and then you can feel it in the room as soon as they start to trust that and realize, no, you're enough. We wanted you here anyway. We picked you. Like, you're here. You deserve to be here already. What you bring to, as long as you're bringing something to us, and it is more heart-led or thoughtful based on your research that you're doing. Oh my gosh. Oh, sorry. Then that's more than enough. That is more than enough. And again, the audience will be able to taste the difference. They know when people are posing, and nothing makes you check out faster than seeing those people strutting.
So it's really all about just, hey, relax.
Yes.
It's a script, but consider it like a conversation. That's all we're doing. Yeah. Just you hear your lines. There may be a certain way you need to say a certain line, but just think of it as, hey, we're all human, like you said. Conversation. Let's just act like we're not acting.
Yeah, our guest director for Dreamgirls, Miss Manola Patterson, used to say, "Make it real, make it real." And that really clicked with some folks when it came to doing that. I guess I always like to say, like a person. Whenever people walk across the stage, I did a workshop with Ballet Arts as part of their intensive, and the ballerinas, man, like they've got everything put together. Everything is beautiful, and I would just say, "Great, could you just run across the stage?" And then they would beautifully, like gazelles, leap across the stage. Okay, great. Just run. Let's just run. That, because what theater does, like what theater is doing is we're trying to study just humans, just human behavior. We want to see the real stuff, because again, we don't want to give the audience an opportunity to check out, even since we're not in New York. That is still engaging because we will see ourselves up there. That's what we want. And we don't want to reinforce a world where everybody's putting on masks and pretending to be something that you're not. No. Because
at that time, you are that character. You're not pretending. You are that character.
Yes.
Okay. So it's amazing. The arts, it's an important piece of life. Personally, I'm not sure if anybody can. How does one deal without the arts? I don't know. It's everywhere. It's creative, and the team that you have at the Ned, from Ebony to Klinowski to Jordan to everyone down there. Talk about your team and how they help you day to day in managing this cultural arts world.
Oh yeah. I just when I left the office, Jordan Alexander, who oversees the galleries as well as the painting and the set design, like he was just helping an artist put up their new gallery. It was their very first time to put up an art show, and so he gets that experience probably half of the year of people having their very first show, and I'm talking them through how to make it look nice. You might consider moving this over here. I would say the atmosphere of the Ned with the team that we have is one of growth, is one of absolutely no ego, because we don't have time for it. I'm sorry. We really don't. If you need to have an ego moment, just go to turntable, get a and then come on back when you're ready. Everyone is doing. It's an embarrassment of riches because of the way the team. Everything starts with that ability to learn and to learn quickly, and then to make mistakes. Like we value the mistakes because they teach us, and we learn, and we can see how to streamline things as we move forward. Because a lot of the team, or at least 2 of our team members, are still new. They're within their first year, and that's Kristen and Ebony. And Kristen is our performing arts manager, so pretty much any production that we see has her hands in it in a million different ways. And her grace and poise and her respect for the artists and the other individuals who are working on the play is just not to be believed. Then there's Ebony, who is simultaneously like for Cinderella, she was our fairy godmother, but she was also maintaining the office work. And then like with her left hand, and then waving the magic wand with her right hand. It's one of those things. We all wear so many hats. And something that is important to me is that we are able to cover for each other. So we did a little cross training at the end of last year when we brought some folks on of like, okay, this particular duty, I can see a world in which we don't have you who's able to do this 100% of the time throughout the year. So let's go ahead and cross-train with so-and-so so that when you go on vacation, we're not beholden and waiting. So there's a little bit of overlap with everything that we do so that we're taking care of each other. And then Will, like he's been stepping up the lights on the shows, man. And his production camp, he runs a camp for those kids who don't necessarily want to be in front of or on the stage. And it is one of our most popular camps. Like kids love to get in on there and see behind the booth and see how this button affects this light and working transitions and how to make things blend together. And then Jordan, we've added some of our visual arts camps to our roster of camps to, again, help out those kids who don't necessarily love the performing stuff but want to see what they can make, what can they paint. And those are starting to take off, and to watch him step into that, like he's usually behind the scenes, he'll be helping out with stuff, but to watch him like take a leadership role in that way has been one of the most gratifying things to watch because he's so good at it.
Jordan is amazing.
Right?
His art, the things that he's created, the sets that he's designed, the costumes, the man is, I can't even describe it.
Yeah.
The work that he does with a pen and with graphic arts and with software that does the digital creations, he is, as we would say, he's the GOAT at
I would say
what he does here in Jackson at the Ned. And Jordan's, he's been there for a while, and again, like you said, he stepped in. He used to be a behind the scenes kind of guy, real quiet, but now you say he has this leadership role. And to see Jordan in this leadership role, I'm sure, like you said, it's pretty gratifying. It's an amazing thing to see him stepping up and stepping out to help cultivate young artists to do this work. Gosh, Jordan, I have to have him on at some point just to talk about his love for art and why he wants to do this so much.
And I firmly believe like the arts aren't what they are without education or without sharing it, like a tree in the woods kind of thing. And so to have him not only be able to create these things, but then now sharing that in the hows and his thinking processes with these young artists, again, they don't realize what they're getting.
Right.
Their parents don't realize what they're actually getting. So I would say the team is just, it's how we're able to do what we're doing. Everybody is operating at such a high level. And I think even on our tired day, or when we're in the middle of something, it's a great reminder that, hey, not only is Saturn out there, but y'all are doing we're doing really good stuff. We're doing really good stuff.
And I see it. People see it here in Jackson, and the shows that y'all have had, and the shows that are coming up. Like I said, I've never seen that many people excited about what's coming at the Ned. You've had multiple sold out shows. You've had multiple sold out events. You've had, of course, the Ned is now the home of the opening ceremony of the Miss Volunteer America pageant. And that brings another set of people to this building to see what the Ned has to offer. So all the upcoming shows and plays and events and exhibits and camps, kind of tell us what are some of the upcoming things that are going on at the Ned, from the camps to the shows to the exhibits.
I'll start with the camps. That is our educational wing, sort of what we're trying to do, and making sure that we're sharing what we're doing with these young people. Okay. Our next visual arts camp will be July 8th through 12th. So that's coming up in a couple weeks here. But that'll be led by Jordan and then another staff member. Jordan is actually in the Addams Family, which is coming to the Ned in a couple weekends, thanks to the Theater Guild. They're going to be performing that. Then we just finished a Bound for Broadway Junior, where they did 101 Dalmatians, and that was for ages 6 to 12. Coming up next in July 22nd through 26th, we'll be doing a 13 to 18-year-old camp, and we'll be doing Hadestown Teen Edition. So it's a new title, one that the kids are really excited about. It's a new musical that came out a few years ago, won a bunch of Tonys, and has been on tour, and we're like one of the first theater groups that's getting the opportunity to work on it. So it's kind of like a workshop of a new show for us, and hopefully we'll be able to add it into our season, maybe eventually when we do the real thing, but we'll lay the groundwork here. Okay. So Bound for Broadway for the older kids. Then we'll do a fall break camp in October 7th through 11th. We'll have, I don't know that I'm ready to announce the title of it just yet, but it's an exciting one. There you go. It'll be led by Miss Ebony Taylor. All right. And then the next show we have, the Children and Teen Theater will be performing A Year with Frog and Toad, and that'll be coming up. Performances are August 22nd through the 25th, and that is, we talk about when you're playing a person, you want to keep it normal. When you play an animal, you also want to keep it normal. So
that's different.
That's a little different. Okay. It's a little heightened and a little more fun, but it's one that our young actors are going to learn a lot of skills of physicality and how do you do that but still keep it real. Mm-hmm. So Frog and Toad is coming up. Then we'll be doing The Color Purple in November. So those auditions will be August 26th and 27th. Okay. And then looking ahead to next year, we've got a fun play. It was written in the last 10 years. It's called The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. That'll be for our teen theater. And the main character has autism. And so we're going to be working with the Star Center on how we can bring some visibility to autism, increase autism awareness, and perhaps engage some of the folks that they work with on this production and create a big community event out of it.
Okay, speaking of the autism one, is this a first, like for this particular play?
Well, I'm not sure that it is a first. I think I don't know that it is the first. I think the first actor who played the role did have autism. It's coming up in January, so once I get through Your Frog and Toad, we'll be working on that one in a big way.
But the inclusiveness, it's a great thing to have, mm-hmm. To be able to bring in the Star Center, who works, like I said, works with clients who have these abilities. Mm-hmm. That's what we call them. We don't call them. I've learned not to call them disabilities.
Right.
But they are people who want to be a part of the art world, mm-hmm. And to be able to have this particular play, it's an amazing thing on y'all's part to think of everyone. You mentioned The Color Purple, and I'll say this: it was 2016, 15 or 16 is the first time I ever saw Color Purple. Mm. My black card was revoked, but I got it back after I saw it. But I've seen a lot of like Dreamgirls, Color Purple, a lot of diverse plays and shows that y'all have had, again, that for a while wasn't happening. And that's fact. It wasn't happening. To have not just Ebony, but to have people who think of the diversity of plays. We want to bring everyone down mm-hmm. here to the Ned to be a part of it, because it just wouldn't look right to have a white guy playing Mister.
Right.
It's just it's just fact. So it's
very true. Very true.
To be able to put that out there and say, hey, we've got all these types of plays. Anybody can come and audition, whether you're a first timer, whether you're a pro edit. Come on down to the Ned, audition for it, and you can visit. We'll talk about it more later. Ned's website, the ned.jacksontn.gov, where you can see the auditions, see what's going on, see all the exhibits and camps. All the information you need is on the website.
That's right.
The Ned. So one other question I asked: How do you pick the shows that you want to do? How did you know you wanted to do Cinderella? How did you know you want to do Frog and Toad? How do you know which shows you want to pick?
That comes down to any number of ways that these shows get on our radar. Most recently, when we were talking about I'm talking about the team, the Ned staff, I asked folks to bring in ideas, and we had several days of whiteboard time where we were playing with the calendar, like what are the actual openings in the calendar, because the Ned is used by a number of organizations.
Right.
And so as much as we do, it is a lot of sidestepping to make sure that we are not taking from anybody, but instead making the most of the openings in the calendar. So how can we feasibly make a show of this size happen? Oh, well, we have a couple months here. Okay, well then let's look at our big shows that we would like to do. I asked the team to put together dream show lists of what they would like to work on. And then also conversations with community members. Like The Color Purple was one that keeps coming up and had been coming up. Once Dreamgirls entered the zeitgeist, the Jackson zeitgeist, it was like, okay, there's unfortunately a dearth of titles. Like there aren't, but when it comes to shows that celebrate Black artists, this is one that we got to do it. And it also, doing that and doing Dreamgirls is, it, as much as we involve some of our teens, it is very much meant for some of our adults, our Black actors and actors of color to come be a part of this. And it falls outside of children and teen, but at the same time, it's one of those things that those opportunities need to be on the table. And as a department of the city, it's on my heart to make sure we're providing that in some way when I don't see it necessarily. And this is just an observation. Mm-hmm. What I would love to see is that other arts organizations would, it's not even taking a risk. That's the thing. Like it's at this point, hopefully folks can see it's kind of tried and shown that those audiences are there. They're hungry to be represented and to be seen and to be given the opportunity to shine and celebrate one another. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that we do have it on our season, and the fact that we had Dreamgirls, it might, I don't want folks to think like, oh, we're not doing children and teen theater anymore. No, we absolutely are, and we will continue to do that. Like that is on our heart. That's on mission. But to include a show like The Color Purple, well, yeah, it's something that needs to be done. Right. And so the excitement for that is just so great.
And at some point, these children and teens will grow up to be adults.
100%.
So, they'll want to continue in this. Why am I just going to stop as a kid? No,
that's right.
Let's do some grown-up shows.
Yes. And there's also a little bit of, we might be in the weeds here, but like making sure that the grown-ups who would be in Color Purple and Dreamgirls can trust us as a team. Because I don't know that trust was necessarily there to begin with. So we want the adults to come in and see what we're about, who we are as people, so that perhaps when we do, so that they might send their young folks to be a part of this thing, because they know who we are, and they have gotten to know who we are, and they know where our hearts are. So it's I jokingly call it like a phase 2 or so, just to make sure that we are upholding our end of the, I'm fighting with this mic, upholding our end of that agreement. Like if we do these shows, we're going to do them thoughtfully. And so that show came from conversations. Curious Incident was one, I was wanting one that we could partner with the Star Center and bring some awareness to what they do. And also it's a title, like again, it's the cross sector. How do how do we make these titles as fun for us to do? It was written. It's a recent classic. It won the Tony Award for Best Play. I think it's just 10 years old. Plus the subject matter, plus the availability of really great roles for our teens, and it has it's storytelling in a way that we wouldn't necessarily see. It's less linear than you would expect. So we might be testing the bounds a little bit, but because we have those other connections to community, like it'll be a worthwhile adventure, I think.
Sounds good. Well, David McCall, thank you.
Oh man, thank you.
Being on. I love the art. Both of us, we're lovers of the art.
Plants.
Fans.
Plants? Fans.
Who is David McCall? Who is Kenneth Cummings? We're both lovers of the art.
That's right.
That's today and tomorrow. Maybe something different. So, of course, it's like education. So we have what I call pop quiz. So it's just 3 questions. It's not really a quiz. It's just 3 questions about my guest. So question number 1 for David McCall. If there were one song that you could perform or sing at your favorite theater, what would that song be and where would that theater be?
Oh, man. Okay. You told me this before. Something that I just came back from a trip and I stopped by this club with live music, this jazz club. You walked into the door. It's like this outside, this industrial looking space. You open the door and everything was like red on the walls and like the curtains were lush and everything, and you had like a jazz combo playing and everything was calm and you hear the clink of glasses. I think I need that atmosphere. I need that, and then I think I'm singing something like Lush Life or some kind of jazz tune, like a Funny Valentine or something. Yeah. Okay. I think that's what it is.
So there's no specific theater, just you see this place.
I mean,
you can imagine this place.
Right.
If you could imagine this place that would exist, you would be seeing like a My Funny Valentine or some kind of jazz.
Yeah. I'll take that.
Interesting.
I'll take that.
Awesome. All right. Question number 2. What is the best way to assist in keeping someone from losing their voice before performing or singing?
This is very important. This is what my personal email inbox always looks like people asking these kinds of things. So this one, the work of not losing your voice happens weeks, months in advance. And the biggest one is hydration. If you are feeling dehydrated, it is way too late. It is way too late. So I would say keep those liquids up, and it's not just water, but it can be water. And beware of your teas and your coffees, because those are diuretics. They'll make you get rid of a lot of your fluids. All right?
Okay. So definitely drinking water, but be careful on teas, because I hear people drinking tea with lemon, but you just got to be careful which kind of tea.
Right, and be careful with the lemon, the acidic stuff. It could
and this is coming from a professional, David McCall. So be careful what you drink, but always be sure to stay hydrated. So like, you got water, but you got like your Gatorades and things like that. Any specific non-water that you would?
I'm really into the liquid. What do they call it? Liquid? Is it liquid IVs?
Liquid IVs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are pretty good. They're kind of like electrolytes and stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And number 3, what is your absolute favorite classic Disney movie? All right, top 3.
Top 3, yeah. I think I do Little Mermaid for the score. Okay. That score is perfect. And I also played Part of Your World for part of my 3rd grade piano recital. So there's that. I would say Lion King. Nothing pulls at the heartstrings like that. That's a great hero's journey there. And then a top 3, let's see. Top 3. I would go with, I guess, Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast. Give me a talking clock any day. That's fun.
Now, we've done Beauty and the Beast. Have we done Beauty and the Beast at the Ned?
The Ned has not, but I think JC. No, one of our schools. Okay. One of the schools that comes.
Okay. So the Ned opened the schools as well. They come in and perform at the Ned. Awesome. Well, for my classic favorite Disney movie, and me and my wife talked about this, Return of Jafar.
For real?
That's my favorite. All the songs on Return of Jafar are my favorite of all the Aladdin. Yes. It's I mean from the first song that Iago sang, I can almost sing it while me and my wife were watching it. She has not seen it. She had not seen Return of Jafar. So when it was on TV the other day, and no, actually, I pulled it up on YouTube. Iago song, I was singing it, and she was just looking at me, laughing, and she just loved the fact that the kid in me came out.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite songs of all the Disney movies. I don't know why. I guess it's because they're catchy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my favorite Disney movie of all time. Why the sequel?
I didn't see that coming.
I know. It catches people off guard. Have you seen Return of Jafar?
Years ago.
It's been a while. It's back on VHS. I don't think the kids know what VHS is anymore.
Oh, man. Be Kind, Rewind. Yeah.
But yeah, that's my favorite, all-time favorite Disney movie.
It was a different time in the 90s.
Oh, my gosh. It was a great time.
When did that come out? Was that 2000?
No, it was, no, it had to be in the 90s.
Yeah, it had to have been.
Because, I don't know. I have to look that up. But yes, Return of Jafar. Yeah, I might go back and watch it tonight.
Whatever you got to do.
David McCall, thank you again for being on Lesson 9 of East Main 101.
Oh, man,
I appreciate you being on. As you all know, there is homework. And for homework for Lesson 9, visit the Ned's website on jackson10.gov. You can visit thened.jackson10.gov. Learn all about the Ned. Check out all the auditions. If you want to audition, go to the audition portion of that website. Audition for a play. Step out, try something new.
Do it.
Try something new. So again, that website is thened.jackson10.gov. Also, there are exhibits. If you are an artist, you can sign up to actually try to have an exhibit at the Ned as well. A lot of people come through the Ned, and the exhibits are up. How long are the exhibits up for?
They're on a monthly cycle, typically.
Okay.
And we have an artist application. If you are looking to exhibit, we'd love to have you fill out that application on there, on that page.
And it could be photographers, artists, kind of
That's right.
Free for all for art. Can it be like 3D sculpture type art?
Let's talk. Yeah.
Let's talk. thened.jackson10.gov. You can visit the website to learn more about what's going on at the Ned. That'll do it for Lesson 9 of East Main 101. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media channels. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn, Nextdoor. Follow us, get connected with us here at the City of Jackson. Again, be sure to subscribe, like, share, comment. eastmain101.jackson10.gov. You can see all of our previous lessons for East Main 101. Thank you again, David. Thank you all for watching, and until next week, class dismissed.